I want us to be honest with ourselves and recognize that Islamophobia is real. Islamophobia and hate kills, and we have seen that in our community. It's not something that's an imagination that happens somewhere else, in another place, in another community, another country. This council and the people I work with every day, when it comes to hate, we won't be deterred. We won't be intimidated into not doing what needs to be done, which is to stand with love and to condemn hate at every turn, and to stand with a community that is being targeted for no reason other than simply existing.
And as 6 Muslim men were violently murdered at their place of worship, I will not stand here today and speak of this crime as if it were an abstract. It is a direct result of the same white supremacy and warmongering that the original peoples of this land have been up against for centuries. We recognize that our place is to fight alongside them and to learn from them so that we may prosper and be free together. Last year, on January 29th, 2017, at approximately 7:50 p.m., a terrorist entered the Islamic Cultural Center of Quebec City in the Sainte-Foy neighborhood of Quebec City and shot and killed 6 Muslim men as they were praying. Their names are Ibrahim Abari, Mamadou Tanu Bari, Khalid Belkasimi, Abu Bakr Thabti, Abdul Karim Hassan, and Azzuddin Sufyan. Remember their names. We will not forget. So tonight we gather here as Londoners to remember them and to say no to Islamophobia and all hate. I also want us to remember Barbara Kentner tonight. She was an Indigenous woman killed in Thunder Bay exactly 1 year ago today. All of our stories are interconnected.
I remind the people around me that today is not like any other day. And I push for a collective reckoning, a conversation on the nature of Islamophobia here in Canada. And it's thinking of all the ways that I remember, that I realized that I never really could forget. How could I? How could I forget when now going to the mosque is no longer solely an act of worship, but an act of defiance to those that hate? How can I forget the sight of bloodied and bullet hole-ridden mosque walls in a place that was supposed to be sanctuary for so many of us? How can I, as a visibly Muslim woman, forget when I carry the pains and the burdens of my community? I never had that luxury. And it's in thinking of all the ways that I remember, I think my question isn't really an introspective one, but a question really of how could so many forget? How could our nation's media move on so quickly from the largest mass shooting in the last 25 years of this country's history? How can so many of us gather tonight to commemorate and to mourn when for the last 365 nights, 6 widows and 17 orphans have gone to sleep without their husbands and their fathers? How dare some of our politicians tweet that their thoughts and their prayers are with my community and then turn around in Parliament and debate naming the very violence that haunts us? Because naming Islamophobia gives life to the fact that this violence is not coming from the boogeyman in the shadows. It is a systemic form of hatred that allows a man to dehumanize his Muslim neighbors to an extent that he can commit an ideologically driven mass murder and still not be charged with terrorism. Because yes, what happened was terrorism, but the victims were black and brown, and the gunman was on the right side of white supremacy, so this nation forgets. So here I am, and I use my sadness and my anger and my inability to forget to make sure that we all remember.
To my Muslim family, my heart cannot comprehend the depth of your pain today, but I do know that this pain is all too familiar for us to carry identities that have feared but never fully understood, worn out from the pressure to quickly heal from yesterday's inhumanity in order to survive today's atrocity, tomorrow's uncertainty. I am here with you. create spaces where it feels safe enough to slow down so that the dizziness stops, the wounds heal, the muscles rest, the skin grows new, and sleep rejuvenates you. To share in my strength, my love, made rich by mothers through generations of resistance. Act as a mirror to reflect back to you the magnificence of your beauty, the tenacity of your strength. Hold you tight so that your tears fall into my shoulders and not back into your heart where it came from. The lives you remember today were taken from us in hate, but we stand together so that they may rest in peace, in love, and power. These wounds will heal into resilience because you are too strong not to rise again. You are too important, too precious, too worthy. We will hold each other till the courage burns strong again. We won't feel less, we will feel whole. And we will laugh, dance, speak, resist, exist, as if we were meant to live, not just survive. We are Black, Indigenous, Muslim, trans, disabled, queer people of color. We are too many to defeat, and we stand together.
Because Islamophobia is real, and it's here. And the face of Islamophobia, not necessarily a deranged gunman, but the face of Islamophobia is also in this community, and sadly it is also our neighbors, our workmates, our classmates, the people we meet on the bus. Some of us, including the Council of Canadians and the Labour Congress and People for Peace, are here facing it every month since last year. Over there on those steps, sometimes over here on this steps. A few times, like last August, hundreds of Londoners showed up. Some days there's only a dozen or so of us. Always there are more of us expressing love for the community than there are of those hating. But I invite you to realize that month after month, we face the haters and say, no, not in our community. Not because that's not part of our community, that is part of our community, but those of us who stand in solidarity with all of our neighbors must be more numerous. I haven't heard of the next monthly gathering, but you can be confident that they are there, they're in our community, they will be back. So when we say these names and we remember, we have to remember that we come back as long as it takes to remember both these 6 fallen people, to remember their families, to remember those that are injured and still require our support, whether it's through individual charity or ideally through some kind of public support. The people who were bereaved there or were injured there need support. And we remember, and I'd like to close by reminding us that there was a call echoed at the City Council for a National Day of Remembrance and Action Against Islamophobia. We're happy that this City Council invited the Mayor to make that statement. We're happy that the City of St. John's or the City of Markham just went ahead and declared it as well. However, if we think about the Polytechnic Massacre, the December 6th didn't become a day of mourning because some politician declared it. December 6th became a day of mourning because the community said, we will not forget. So it may be legitimated at some point by politicians taking a decision or an act of legislature, an act of parliament, which is great, I'm not against that. But it matters because it matters to us. If we remember Ibrahima, Mama Dutanu, Abu Qadir, that's right, missing the other names, Khaled, Azadin Khaled, and Abdul Karim, if we remember, if we say those names, not just today, not just tomorrow, all year, then it will have some meaning.